everyone, it's Dazzling One, and this week's discussion is about something actually brought up in the comments section that I wanted to elaborate further on, and I want to give a shout out to individual Spawn 1077 for mentioning Techno Feudalism because we're really seeing it unfold, and I want to talk a little bit about the feud between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Is it manufactured? Is it real? Peter Thiel and the PayPal Mafia and a technocracy and technocrats. So I'm going to start with this article here. I'll link it in the description box. It's called What is Techno Feudalism? When we think of feudalism, images of medieval lords ruling over vast estates with serfs working the land might come to mind. But if we replace these lords with tech giants and those serfs with everyday internet users, we'd see how Yanis Varoufakis illustrates a timely issue, techno feudalism. Who is Yanis Varoufakis? And I'm sorry if I'm butchering his last name. I know when it comes to pronunciation, oftentimes I make huge blunders with that. Yanis Varoufakis is an economist, writer, and former Greek finance minister known for the critique of modern capitalism. Varoufakis has spent years envisioning a more equitable economic future. His 2023 book, Techno Feudalism, What Killed Capitalism, argues that capitalism is being replaced not by a more progressive system, but by something more reminiscent of the past, feudalism in a digital guys. What is techno-feudalism? Techno-feudalism is the idea that we are not transitioning from capitalism to something better, but slipping into a system where tech companies function like modern feudal lords. Varoufakis argues that since the 2008 financial crisis, our economic system has fundamentally changed. The cloud, big data, and digital platforms have become the land of this new era, controlled by tech giants like Google, Amazon, and Meta. These companies, Varoufakis contends, influence our behaviors and choices in ways that are not as voluntary as we might believe. Just as medieval lords controlled land and labor, tech companies wield immense power over data and access to digital spaces. The consolidation of power, sustained by central banks and governments, mirrors the feudal structure of old, where a few elites control the resources that everyone else depends on. Capitalism emerged from the remnants of European feudalism, a system where the majority of the population lived under the dominion of a small elite. By the 12th century, most skilled workers toiled under feudal lords, receiving subsistence rather than wages, while serfs labored for landed nobles. The stark difference between these systems lies in how surplus is extracted. Feudal lords wielded power through direct force, while capitalism often cloaks exploitation in the guise of choice. Critics like Evgeny Morozov believe the notion that tech companies are mere rent seekers in this landscape. He argues that these firms invest significantly in research development and extensive infrastructure, hallmarks of active capitalists. Rather than idly accruing wealth, big tech firms are engines of production and innovation, contradicting the image of feudal lords benefiting from monopolistic rents. Though techno-feudalism raises valid concerns about the power wielded by tech giants, equating them with feudal lords, risk of oversimplifying a complex capitalist reality. Modern tech firms are not just controllers, they drive innovation, embodying the very principles of capitalism. Competition, growth, and relentless progress, while parallels to feudalism persist in issues of control and dependency. The economic engines of today reflect a distinct dynamic system. While Yanis Varoufakis' notion of techno-feudalism has sparked interest, it remains contentious. Though the rise of cloud capital is very real and demonstrates a shift in how we monetize human behavior, we're not quite inaugurating an entirely new economic system just yet. The techno-feudalist model involves establishing a monopoly position using sophisticated data extraction to secure it. Morozov argues that the tech sector does not fit the classic stereotype of a neo-feudal economy. Morozov points out that monopoly is not new to capitalism. Large corporations and consolidating power are a hallmark of capitalism, not a signal of its end. He echoes Lenin's observation that monopoly capital has long been a feature of capitalism, where we're seeing Morozov suggest is a more aggressive form of capitalism, not a shift towards feudalism. The flow of data now contributes more to world GDP than the flow of physical goods. The rise of techno-feudalism urges us to critically examine the influence of tech companies in our lives, especially as we adapt to an era dominated by artificial intelligence. As our daily experiences are increasingly digitized, tech giants are gaining unprecedented wealth and power by controlling vast amounts of data about us. This dynamic challenges us to consider what kind of digital future we want to create, and who will hold the power in it. Data as capital. The control of personal and commercial data has become a new form of capital, driving profit-making strategies for corporations. Influence on society. Tech companies use their extensive knowledge of our preferences to inform algorithmic decisions that affect everything from the news we see to judicial outcomes. Power imbalance. Just as medieval lords held dominion over their serfs, today tech giants render individuals and small businesses vulnerable, prioritizing their self-interest over genuine innovation. Dependency on platforms. Small businesses are increasingly reliant on platforms like Amazon and Google for visibility, often paying high fees just to reach potential customers. Collective ownership is key. As Varkavist states, to own our minds individually, we must own cloud capital collectively. Without a unified approach to digital platforms, we risk becoming modern serfs under the control of tech oligarchs, shaping our future within our input. So I found that really fascinating. And just to define what a technocrat is an individual, often an expert in the technical field, who uses their expertise to influence or lead government or society, believing that technology and scientific methods can effectively solve problems. Technocrats prioritize efficiency and pragmatic solutions, sometimes rejecting party politics or traditional democratic process. And then to define what a technocracy is, that is the government or control society or industry by an elite of technical experts. An instance of application of technocracy, an elite of technical experts. So we're seeing that, especially when Trump was sworn in and all of Silicon Valley was there to support him despite being against Trump and not really being fans of the Conservative Party, but they understood that's where the money was going. And then, as we've seen, this feud with Elon and Trump, and Elon with Doge. Another name that's getting thrown around a lot is Peter Thiel. And Peter Thiel owns a company called Palantir. And Palantir has been in the news because they're saying that they're trying to gather all of our data from police records, CDC, everything you can imagine. And it said that some of that technology was used over in Gaza for the Palestinians. It's being used for the ICE raids. So we are seeing more of a Big Brother society taking shape, as well as the automation of jobs. Peter Thiel also is an interesting figure because he is part of the PayPal Mafia. And what the PayPal Mafia is, it's a group of former PayPal employees and founders who have since founded or developed additional technology companies based in Silicon Valley, such as LinkedIn, Palantir Technologies, SpaceX, Affirm, Slide, Kiva, YouTube, Yelp, and Yammer. Most of the members attended Stanford University or University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. So that's fascinating as well. I know Peter Thiel and Elon Musk are pretty close. And Peter Thiel's the one that took out Gawker because in 2007 they outed him from the closet and he didn't want to be outed. So he got Hulk Hogan to sue them when they released his sex tape, and that ultimately bankrupted them. Like Elon, Peter Thiel has some apartheid South Africa ties as well, which gets really weird. And yes, there's a lot of odd things going on with this. I'm starting to believe some of the things we're seeing, as cruel as they are, like in Gaza or even with like the ICE raids, some of it is like testing on American citizens. So like what they're doing to non-citizens or people abroad is things that they're planning to do to US citizens. As far as if the feud between Elon and Trump is manufactured, well, Trump is around saying that Elon looked really happy when he was behind the Oval Office desk, even though he was using makeup to cover up his black eye. Or Musk saying that Trump is on Epstein's list. I think we all know that. Whenever they released the list, they definitely redacted a few names, and they're saying they did that to protect the victims. Or the fact that Trump is saying that Elon definitely was doing the Nazi salute. I think it's more drama to distract us, but I do think that the truth lies somewhere in between. I do think that those two at the end of the day are still cozy, but what they've done overall to the U.S. as far as cutting jobs and programs is going to have some really negative downstream effects. I'd like to know what your thoughts are on all of this. Do you think we're moving more towards techno feudalism, where these billionaires are trying to rule through our modern day technology? I've heard rumors, some people said, I couldn't find anything to confirm this. This was more hearsay on TikTok, that I know DC is trying to become a 51st state, And some think that Trump is trying to work something out to help his billionaire friends in almost having ownership of it. Again, I don't have anything to back that up. It's just more rumors on the internet. But I do find the idea of a technocracy or techno feudalism to be a real thing. And we'll see how things play out. But thank you for tuning in. I hope you found this video interesting. Make sure to share your thoughts. Have a wonderful weekend and rest of your week. Take care and God bless. Until next time.